I want to share today about recovery. Recovery is to be full of life, to recover our life and our fullness. So life wants to live in us when we do our best. And the more full of life we are, you ever heard that? Full of life, right? Life is wanting to be in us. The more full of life we are, the more we want it for all life, for all others, to have life, to be for everyone to be fulfilled and full of life. Courage is what gets us to face our fears or vulnerabilities. You notice we're not saying here, by we, I mean, I'm not saying here that we shouldn't have fears or vulnerabilities. It's saying we face them, and then we could overcome them. When we think of the paradox, we know that God kills loved ones to bring close to God, but gives life to loved ones to bring God close. What does that mean? That means that every person that we know until now, we've learned can die. And that makes us go close to God, because that we recognize that one that died is close to God. And the one that passed away is now close to God. But if God gives us life, then us, in our living, bring God close to us. So there's this paradox of being close to God but not being alive, and then being alive and having God close. So we can trust ourselves more now that we know better. We can go to great lengths instead. There's a way of living which is definitely going to great lengths to avoid our limits, our sensitivities, our unmet needs, our learned helplessness and insecurities. But that's what brings us to rock bottom. So the work is to be present even when it seems we may go back there. So we might be running after something, chasing, or we might be running away from something. But we don't realize we're running on our bottom. We're not rising up. We're not covering any ground. When an airplane goes for 11 hours, you can cross the entire world from one side of the world to the other. But if you would walk across on the ground for 11 hours, you wouldn't get as far, as even some of that journey, right? So when we bring in the higher power is the infinite flow of non-judgmental, loving acceptance, the source of all healing, which gives us the ability to face our bottom. When we have a chosen belief that we're not given more than we can handle in any one day, only when the future tripping happens, or we're like stuck in the future, but I won't be able to handle that and that and that and that. But when we're, in the now, and today, we can handle our life. We take deep breaths. In Hebrew, we say breath as spirit. And in English, too, we say someone's in good spirits or take a deep breath, right? When we take these breaks and we check in, we don't deny ourselves the inner honesty that allows us to actually feel free. Life, true life, not as we want to control it. And even letting go of what we think we might be able to control, or when we're trying to change things that are outside of our control. And what is orthodox? I mentioned paradox, that people are taken out of life and brought close to God, while people who are alive bring God close. Orthodox is that we start from a question. Am I the divine plan manifesting itself? Will more be revealed? We fill in the blank of unknown as of yet, right? Could there be a creative intelligence that desires me to bring light with my consciousness, because only I can do it? And what I dismantle myself helps the oneness. So here we're not projecting from stories that already passed. We even can ask ourselves, do I have what it takes to be attentive during this experience? That's like a gentle way to be open to reality. And we know that a familiar anxiety can often feel more conquerable than facing the unfamiliar. But there's always, an in-between. Is this a blessing or a curse? Is often the backdrop where we're having our interpretations from. For one person, it could be the biggest blessing. For another person, it's the curse. But it's all about interpretation. So we recover our interpretation ability, and also our sense of worth. So I am worthy of ease. I'm a warrior. I've seen so much, I've seen so much of that in me, that warriorness, that worthy of ease. By my own resistance, I'll surely find my way back to some peace of mind, and then have the inner answers I need, rather than any more unnecessary, risky expeditions. Because I'm too precious. There's no one like me. My original self has so many gifts to share, and an over-anxious stress does arrest the nervous system function, so that I could be resting and moving in balance and comfortable. A healthy nervous system can handle more information, such as the data from emotions, food, even our phone, without it overwhelming the whole system. And I want to share from Alan Garner in the book Conversationally Speaking. He says, could we be like pretty much recovering means like it's like kind of like uncovering. So disclosing is to take out of being closed. So he says about self-disclosing, our real self, right? He says it's unrealistic to expect strangers to care about us because people only really care about those that they're involved with. So when we self-disclose, we actually are helping people to get involved. If we fail to self-disclose, we may think, okay, I'm kind of aloof, mysterious, intriguing at first. But the lack of reciprocity, if that's the situation, will actually have them conclude that there's no interest in getting to know them. They're going to feel like you don't care about getting to know them. So there's a mutual process of delightful self-revelation, typically at a symmetrical rate. You don't have one person overdoing it and the other person like so mysterious. Those create unhealthy dynamics, and they do not cause us to be having care. So in the long run, it is very self-defeating and frustrating to hope that others care about me when it's about my untold, unexpressed feelings. Trust builds, content deepens, the significance of meaning, whether it's cliches, which are rituals, facts, which are basics or the recent developments, opinions, which are views, perspectives, values, and angles, and then feelings, which are emotional reaction. These are the closest insight to our identity and beingness. So I want to say it again. As we build the trust and the content of our sharing of what we're disclosing deepens, and it becomes more significant and meaningful. So I'm going to read it again. Cliches, which are rituals, like, I do this, I do that. Facts, which are basics or recent developments, like I purchased this, I moved here, or I have a child. Opinions are views, perspectives, values, angles, like this is how I think it should be, or this is what my family likes to do. And then feelings, which are emotional reaction. And these, again, are in order of how close of an insight they give to our identity, to our beingness. Rudeness and self-involvement leads to not asking questions, not modeling the responses wanted. So when we reveal and then ask to show that the exchange is happening. So when we reveal something about ourselves and then ask something about the other person, like, I really love to, get extra dressed up on the weekend or something, right? And then we ask the other person, do you have anything that you like to do special on the weekend? We then can show that there's an exchange. But if we don't ever ask the other person, we come across as rude and self-involved. Again, in the beginning, we may not even offer the information about ourselves. We may come across as mysterious as one person is offering about themselves. But we want to learn how to bridge that from just, for both sides. One who might not want to share because they don't want to be like a loser if it, or judged. And this is why it takes vulnerability. And then on the other hand, somebody who only talks about themselves. So everyone has experienced the sorrow of losing a friend, the excitement of winning, the soothing warmth of a summer's day, and the pain of being alone in a crowd, and hopes to find love, joy, acceptance in his or her life. And we can meet there. That's a place we could all meet in. However, some people, as we recover and find fulfillment in our real self, we may exaggerate virtues or conceal faults. This is a false image we're projecting. We try to portray ourselves an idea of what the other person might want, or, like an example might be where you always say, you mean this or that, when really you mean I mean, or you disguise your feelings as questions. Let me think if I have an example of that one. Does it make sense that I don't like that sound of him chewing so loud, rather than saying it makes me feel uncomfortable when he chews so loud? Rejection. So there's two ways that the projecting the false image are not sustainable for us and don't actually mean we are self-disclosing, because it's not our real self. One is that there's the rejection feeling because the other is not attracted to a perfect self. Leading to the wish, I'd try to find acceptance as me. So, as we project this false image and the person doesn't actually like it, we now end up feeling like extra resented because we didn't think they would like the real us. Our false self is not working either. And we might even become, hopeless or discouraged or feel extra rejected, like we're not even going to try. So it really helps to first start with an acceptance of ourselves, because then we could disclose our real self. And then as we recover and life lives in us, the real life that we are, Number two, others might be attracted to acts that we do, lovable things, but we on our side won't be able to, or can't, or accept their warmth and acceptance as belonging to us, because the character that we're playing is kind of like knows that there's a charade happening and is afraid, because if it's uncovered, then first of all, we know that it's only because of the character, and second, because if at any point the character is exposed, then we feel like a fraud. We can never really be ourselves. We're always having that guard up. We can never relax. If we act like we're so easygoing and fun, and then when our family's there and we're acting kind of anxious around our family, more like ourselves, or we're kind of more like crude, or someone who like is kind of wild when they're around certain people, it'll be revealed at some point. So we'll always be like anxious when we bring these different people together, because we're not being our real self, either with one or both. And also there's like a wisdom that comes in life for ourselves and for others when we actually honestly express our real life self, and let those who like us become our friends. Let those who are interested in getting to know us better get to know us better, and let those who we are interested in getting to know better know that we want to get to know them better. And I give us a blessing that we should continue to enhance in our recovery, in our fulfillment, in our being full of life.